In this video, we're unpacking one of the most chilling yet fascinating ideas in political science: totalitarianism. What is it? How does it differ from authoritarianism? And why have so many leaders tried and failed to build their own perfect society through absolute control? We'll break it down using Thomas Magstadt's Understanding Politics, Ideas, Institutions, and Issues, with insights from real history. From Stalin's Soviet Union to Hitler's Germany to North Korea today. By the end, you'll see why totalitarianism is more than just dictatorship. It's the illusion of paradise built on fear. Magstadt defines totalitarianism as a political system in which the state holds total authority over society and seeks to control all aspects of public and private life wherever possible. This isn't just about political power. It's about shaping what people think, believe, and even imagine. In a totalitarian state, ideology isn't a set of ideas. It's a belief system that defines truth itself. According to Magstadt, ideology gives meaning to political life, offering a blueprint for the perfect society, a utopia. When a government decides it knows what perfect looks like, everything and everyone else becomes expendable. Magstadt calls totalitarian regimes false utopias. Societies that claim to be building heaven on earth but instead create living nightmares. They promise order, equality, and unity, but deliver fear, conformity, and control. Let's explore how these systems work and why they're so dangerous. Every totalitarian state begins with an idea, an ideology that justifies total control. For example, Nazi Germany, 1933 to 1945, was built on fascism, a worldview rooted in nationalism, racial purity, and the myth of destiny. The Soviet Union under Stalin was driven by Marxism-Leninism, an ideology that claimed to create a classless society but instead replaced one ruling class with another. Mao's China aimed for permanent revolution, reshaping not just politics but people's minds. Magstadt emphasizes that ideology in these systems functions as a secular religion. It provides faith, ritual, and a moral code, but with no tolerance for disbelief. One of the defining features Magstadt identifies is the cult of personality, when a leader becomes an almost divine figure. Think of Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini, or Kim Il-sung. Their portraits hung everywhere. Their voices filled every radio. Children learn their names before learning the alphabet. In such systems, the leader isn't just obeyed. He's worshipped. Magstadt describes this as a political religion where loyalty replaces reason. But this devotion isn't love. It's survival. To question the leader is to question truth itself. The totalitarian model thrives on controlling not just actions but ideas. The regime monopolizes the media, education, and art to control thought. As George Orwell warned in 1984, who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. In practice, this means rewriting history, literally. In Stalin's USSR, photos were edited to remove purged officials. In Nazi Germany, books by Jewish authors were burned. In modern North Korea, history begins and ends with the Kim family. Magstadt points out that this isn't just propaganda. It's a systematic manipulation of reality. Every utopia needs guardians. And in totalitarian systems, those guardians are secret police. Whether it's the Gestapo, the KGB, or the Ministry of State Security, the goal is the same: to enforce obedience through surveillance, fear, and punishment. Magstadt describes this as the terroristic police apparatus. No one is above suspicion. Neighbors report neighbors. Children inform on parents. Fear replaces trust. And that isolation ensures control. Unlike simple dictatorships, totalitarian regimes want active participation. They don't want silent subjects, they want believers. Citizens are mobilized into youth organizations, rallies, and voluntary programs. Magstadt notes that this creates the illusion of unity while eliminating dissent. For instance, a Hitler's Germany had the Hitler Youth and League of German Girls. Stalin's Soviet Union had Komsomol. A Mao's China mobilized the Red Guards. The message: you're not just ruled by the state, you are the state. At first, totalitarian regimes appear efficient. Trains run on time, dissent disappears, and people seem united. But as Magstadt argues, order without freedom is an illusion. Totalitarian states collapse because they can't adapt. They destroy the very creativity and diversity that make societies thrive. Let's unpack how this collapse unfolds, using real case studies that Magstadt and other scholars discuss. The first case study is the Nazi Germany, 1933 to 1945. Adolf Hitler's regime promised to restore national pride after World War I. Through a mix of fear and propaganda, he built a society obsessed with racial purity and obedience. But the supposed utopia, the Thousand-Year Reich, lasted only 12 years, collapsing in total destruction. The Nazi example shows the core paradox of totalitarianism. When truth becomes a tool of the state, reality itself collapses. The second case study is Stalin's Soviet Union, 1924 to 1953. After Lenin's death, Stalin turned Marxism into dogma. He launched the 5-year plans, collectivized agriculture, and built an industrial powerhouse, but at a terrible cost. An estimated 20 million people died from famine, purges, and forced labor. Yet official propaganda portrayed Stalin as the father of nations. Magstadt explains that Stalin's totalitarianism thrived on a combination of ideological purity and terror. It promised equality but produced tyranny. The third case study is Mao's China, 1949 to 1976. In China, Mao Zedong sought to build a socialist utopia through constant revolution. The Great Leap Forward, 1958 to 1962, aimed to industrialize rural China, but led to one of the worst famines in history, killing around 45 million people. Dichotter, 2016. Then came the Cultural Revolution, where millions were persecuted for counter-revolutionary thought. Like Stalin, Mao used ideology as both sword and shield, claiming failure was proof of disloyalty, not poor policy. The fourth case study is North Korea, 1948, present. The most enduring totalitarian system today is North Korea, founded by Kim Il-sung. Its ideology, Juche, preaches self-reliance but enforces total dependence on the leader. Every home displays his portrait. Every broadcast praises his family. Defectors describe a world where even thoughts are dangerous. As Magstadt notes, totalitarian regimes replace community with conformity. North Korea is the ultimate example, a society built on fear disguised as faith. Here's the heart of it, the reason Magstadt calls totalitarianism a false utopia. Every totalitarian state starts by promising paradise. They say, "We'll end inequality. We'll bring unity. We'll build a better world." But the pursuit of perfection becomes the justification for oppression. As Hannah Arendt wrote in The Origins of Totalitarianism, 1951, the ideal subject of totalitarian rule is not the convinced Nazi or the committed communist, but people for whom the distinction between fact and fiction no longer exists. That's the danger. When ideology becomes reality, truth dies. Totalitarian systems collapse not because they're weak, but because they try to control what cannot be controlled, the human spirit. Magstadt closes the chapter with a sobering truth. The lesson of totalitarianism is that the pursuit of a perfect world through absolute power will always end in imperfection and despair. Every false utopia, from Nazi Germany to Stalinist Russia to modern North Korea, reveals the same pattern: a promise of order, a concentration of power, a suppression of truth, and ultimately collapse. Totalitarianism teaches us that freedom and imperfection are inseparable, because real progress depends on the ability to question, to doubt, and to change. If this video helped you understand the real meaning of totalitarianism, and why false utopias still threaten our world today, hit that like button, share this lesson, and subscribe for more chapter-by-chapter insights from Understanding Politics. Imagine a world where every thought is watched, every word recorded, and even your silence can betray you. Sounds like a dystopian movie, right? But here's the twist: this isn't fiction. It's the totalitarian dream that promised utopia. and delivered control.